You're tuned in to Ask the Master Auto Technician. Car questions? Get answers right now. Call 850-763-0555.
James Auto Center, we fix it right, guaranteed. Beep, 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 yeah.
All right, welcome back to Ask the Master Auto Technician. It's Saturday morning. If you're listening on the radio, yes, it's a live show. If you're watching on television on WPGX Fox 28, every morning it's 6 to 6:30. Nope, it's pre-recorded. You can call when we open my shop up at 7 o'clock in the morning, but if you call during the show, it just rings and rings and rings and rings, or if you call Monday through Friday. But Saturday morning, 763-0555, you get right here, get to talk to my lovely bride, Anna Marie, and she'll be able to screen your calls and make sure that you've got a good question to ask out there. But I've got Greg LaPlante. He's running for Bay County Property Appraiser. He's running against Dan Sewell. And so if anyone knows Dan Sewell, if they'd like to have Dan Sewell come on the air, he's welcome to come on for the same amount of time. It's open to him. It's open, 763-0555. And I know there's a lot of Dan Sewell supporters out there. So anyway, Greg, please tell, we were just talking about the agriculture property being 60% of Bay County being registered that way. Why is what I want to know. Is it that way?
Well, James, here in Bay County, you have more than 60% of the land that is owned by big corporate landowners that pay less than $2 per acre in property tax. Mm-hmm. And the problem is that contributes almost nothing to your schools and your community and makes your property tax bill much higher to make up for it.
Yeah.
And I was listening to you earlier, and let me tell you what the law says on that. There's a law, and the statute number is FS 193.461, right. And that is the agricultural lands.
Yeah.
And it says something very interesting here. It says that the property appraiser shall reclassify the following lands as non-agricultural. Number one, land diverted from an agricultural to a non-agricultural use. Mm-hmm. Number two, land no longer being utilized for agricultural purposes.
All right.
That's the big one, because, in other words, if you don't use it, you lose it. And then, number three, land that has been zoned to a non-agricultural use at the request of the owner.
Okay.
And so the number two one, land no longer being utilized for agricultural purposes, mm-hmm. This is the big one. So, in other words, if you are not actively farming this land, then you do not get to sit there and retain this ownership. So if you don't use it, you lose it. But what's happening here is that they are not using it. They're making statements like, we're long out of the timber business, we're out of there, and they have reclassified all their land to timber acre zero. However, they are still receiving this $2 an acre tax break. And, you know, we've been to a lot of the debates and a lot of these things, and almost everything, from all the concerned people, all the school teachers, all the school representatives, and the county budget people. They're really onto this county budget thing because we're losing everything. We're losing our law enforcement. We're losing the funding to the schools. We're losing everything. And at the same time, we have 60% of this land that is paying less than $2 per acre in property tax.
No.
And this whole thing of this $2 an acre, this is an absolute formula for disaster.
It is. And the question I ask is, isn't there a parcel of land that has no houses on it, but has infrastructure, has roads, it's been made for housing, I think around a lake, and yet they're only paying like, I don't know, $1,000 or something like that?
It is $1,000. It is 500 acres of land. And see, that's where the part here which says that land has been that has been zoned to a non-agricultural use. So in other words,
they're not going to grow trees there to harvest.
Well, if you rezone the land, then that's it. It's off, no question about it.
Right, but they haven't rezoned it.
Well, yes, sir, they have. They have rezoned the entire thing. I have the zoning map right here.
Ooh.
They have rezoned the entire thing, and the entire project is showing residential zoning over there. So, yes, sir, that should be off.
Okay, if that's the case, if I understand correctly, now they're paying $1,000 for 500 acres. I know an acre of land is going to be assessed up there on the lake probably at over $1,000 an acre is what it's worth, and they're going to pay a lot more than $2 an acre for it.
Oh, very much more. And even, James, on a larger scale, if you were to take just, let's say, raw acreage, let's say acreage, which is off of the highway somewhere. I mean, the basic raw acreage at the absolute bottom, you're looking at probably at about a $3,000 valuation per acre. Okay. And if you take that very basic raw land idea of $3,000 in value per acre, and you apply the tax, it probably comes out to about $30 an acre rather than the $2 per acre.
Now, here's what I think one of the things, if the tax appraiser appraised it at $30 an acre or whatever it's supposed to be, I don't think they would keep it on their balance sheet, these corporations, for very long, because they're going, hey, we're losing money on this. We need to get rid of this, sell this land cheap. And I think that would stimulate our economy down here. People would say, hey, I can buy 10 acres for $10,000 or whatever the case may be, and actually start making money move around, so to speak. And that's how it will stimulate our economy the correct way, not picking favorites.
Exactly. I would tend to think that's what's happening. And, my idea is, hey, they can either, like everyone else, just pay the property tax on your land, or please sell it to someone that will.
Well, absolutely. And right now, I don't see why. If now this land is not owned in St. Joe's land. They don't own any land anymore in Bay County. Is that correct? Or they still own land?
Oh, no. St. Joe owns a lot of acreage in St. Joe.
Right.
In Bay County. Also, Profundus Holdings owns a lot of land. Also, there are some other timber companies, and most of these companies are from actually either other states, or in some cases even other countries.
Other countries are what bothers me, and they're not paying any tax. Why are we giving them a favorable exemption?
Exactly.
They're not growing trees. They're growing trees, but they're not. When they harvest them, that's it. They don't replant it. They're not. And if I understand correctly, you have to qualify. You have to fertilize. You have to show records that you're improving the land for crops to grow. You just can't buy the property and let it sit there and go feral. If I understand.
Let me tell you what the law says on that. This is one of the considerations for it. Whether an indicated effort has been made to care sufficiently and adequately for the land in accordance with accepted commercial agricultural practices, including, without limitation, fertilizing, tilling, liming, mowing, reforesting, and other generally accepted agricultural practices. And James, even if we looked at it straight from a financial aspect, I mean, let's take this thing at $2 an acre, and even if you had to pay $30 an acre, I mean, that's still not that much.
No, it's not. It's 100 times more than what they're paying now.
Right. At $2 an acre, if it were 30, it would be 15 times more.
All right.
And yes, that's a lot, but $30 an acre, James, I mean, how does that compare to your house and your property and all the fine people that we know in Bay County that pay a lot of money in property taxes?
Well, and to give you an example, one of the debates we went to, I was talking to someone who was running for office, and I said, I was talking to Bill Husfeld. I can say that. I said, Bill, what would you think if we could charge more than $2 an acre on this agricultural land to these big corporations? He says, James, I'm not allowed to comment on that. And I said, but just hypothetically, if you could comment, wouldn't that be nice for your budget? Wouldn't you be able to keep the schools open? And then I said, how many schools have you closed down? And then he went down, well, we closed down Waller, then we closed down Margaret K. Lewis and moved it over where Millville is. And so we closed down 2. Then we had another school. And I'm going, okay, so the point is, A.D. Harris closed down. So we're closing all these schools down that we put a lot of money into to renovate. We spent millions of dollars to renovate. We threw that money away because now the schools are worthless. Well, we're not using them. So he said it would be nice if people paid their fair share. And I said, I'd like that idea.
Absolutely. And I mean, even myself, my family, if I add them all up, pays about $15,000 per year in property taxes. And I don't have any children in the schools, but and I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for the people of Bay County. I'm a little bit older like you are.
I won't tell anybody.
And we're trying to give back. Yeah, we're trying to give back to the community. And I have a website that is gregforbaypa.com. Okay. That's gregforbaypa.com. And almost everything that I have to say on the issue and the explanations of the issue are on that website. So people can go to that website and they can learn more about it. And again, I'm not doing this for me and it's not for you because we don't have any children in the schools. But we're giving back to the community and we're trying to set this straight because if people own property in Bay County, they can simply help our schools out. They can help to pay for our law enforcement. And if they don't want to pay their taxes, they can simply sell that land to someone that will.
I think that's a great idea. And the ironic part about it is, not only did the Bay County Sheriff's lose 31 positions, the property appraiser's office lost positions, if I'm not mistaken.
That's true also, and you've seen school cutbacks, we've seen budget cutbacks, law enforcement, we've seen the loss of our hospital.
Yes, I forgot about that.
And we keep on losing and keep on losing, and all we're asking people to do is to simply pay our fair share. And, the early voting started today. And, James,
right.
You're a patriotic type person, and so am I. And people have fought and died in this country historically for our right to vote. There's a lot of military people around here that are really good people, that are honest, patriotic type people. And we need to get out, and early voting started today. There's 4 different locations. And we need to encourage everyone to understand the issues, the candidates, and to encourage everyone to get out there and vote.
GOTV, get out the vote.
Get out the vote.
That's what we got to do. We got to do that. We only got about 30 seconds left looking at my clock here. Greg, if people want to know more about your platform policy, you can go to greg4pa.com.
greg4baypa.com, and 4 is FOR. It's greg4baypa.com.
All right, because I got to say it a lot or people just won't remember it.
Yes. I thought it was very easy, but it might be a little bit hard. It made sense to me. It's Greg for Bay, PA, and the FOR and BAY, PA is property appraiser. So it's greg4baypa.com. And it explains the issues that are on there. And a lot of people don't know that 60% of this land is paying less than $2 per acre in property tax. And it's really hurting the schools, hurting the community, and hurting all the decent people that we have here. And we do have a lot of really good people here.
We really do. Hey, this is James Morris, Greg LaPlante being off there. If you want to get up with him, get up with greg4pa.com, and we'll be right back.
James Auto Center, we fix it right, guaranteed. Beep, beep.